Well, hello, folks, and welcome back to another edition. I believe this is episode 514, and um, this is episode 514, and I believe it's episode 20. I think it's currently 9:44. Take a moment to reflect. I've already done this. And I believe it's the 20. And I believe it's episode 23 of the year. Yeah, it's episode 23 of the year. So yeah, hello guys, and welcome to episode 23 and episode 514. Yeah, it's 514. Not the time, 514. But hello everybody, and welcome back to another one of these. Your host, Mike Mo, here to talk to you about something that is really absurd and something that I'm going to probably ban myself from doing after reading the story. So for those of you who play Gran Turismo and play all these games, you guys will know that the game makers are trying to rip us off, and they're trying to get our hard-earned money, all that sort of yada yada yada. But I was reading the 5,000, but I was reading a story that's kind of been piling up, and I've been reading stories, and I've been reading people's reactions to it. I'm just gonna come out and I'm just gonna come straight out and say it. I'm like, Polyphony, what were you thinking about doing a $5,000 DLC? Let me explain. Let me go back to microtransactions. Let me go back to the whole thing and how absurd it is, and what the origins of microtransactions slash because $5,000 for one car is for one car that costs about 1 million credits in the game, and it's not even that good, to be honest. Typically, the Vision Gran Turismo cars have kind of never been on anybody's radar. Personally, I don't like them. They're kind of, some of them are very they're kind of gimmicky. You can't really use them because their performance is kind of nasty and stuff like that, so you're not really getting much. But the Dodge Tomahawk X that has 2,500 horsepower, as much as a powerboat will on the open seas, because there's some powerboats that have 1 to 2,000 horsepower. You know, the cigarette boats that they race, down in Florida, and all these exotic locales that no one's ever heard of and no one wants to visit, because you have exotic countries, because you have the high chance of getting shot in some of these countries, because because cigarette boats used to run drugs, ladies and gentlemen, kids of all ages back in the 80s. Speaking of which, that's kind of where our story begins. So a lot of people will sit there and go, and I've seen everybody all over the internet, everybody, and most of these guys are young players and stuff like that, who don't know a damn thing about arcades and all this other stuff, and they only hear it from their uncles and their friends and people who grew up in the 80s. So arcades have been around, I'm gonna say 70s, 80s ish. It was 70s, 80s ish. It was kind of a thing before video games kind of got started, before they were mass produced and stuff like that. This is before PlayStation became popular. This is before Nintendo became popular. I'm going to say late 70s, early 80s. This is kind of around when Pac-Man sort of became big, Pole Position, Space Invaders, Galaxia, um, tanks, and all this other stuff. You know, all these games. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who didn't grow up with any of those games on PlayStation or Sega or whatever, you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about when I say the games Pole Position, Pac-Man. These were games that you could play in an arcade, and unfortunately, a lot of arcades back in those days required you to use tokens. Chuck E. Cheese comes to mind. Chuck E. Cheese, I think, still use tokens. Dave and Buster's still use tokens, still use credits or tokens or whatever you want to call them. But a lot of these younger folks are saying, "Oh, these microtransactions, they're so bad. We have to waste our hard-earned money. We have to do all this." And this is stuff. We have to waste our hard-earned money. Our parents never did this. Our parents never told us to pay a lot for a little. Unfortunately, that's not true anymore, because you pay a lot for a little. I don't know, with inflation up so high. But a lot of these kids are like, "Oh yeah, we can play a game for hours on end for $60. It's kind of worthless to do microtransactions, yada yada yada." Microtransactions have never, and a lot of them will sit there and go, when they were, a lot of them are, and a lot of the kids from the 90s that I knew were probably like, "Oh, this is stupid. The microtransactions shouldn't exist. We never did it, so our parents never ever did it." Well, kids of the late 80s, early 90s, I have news for you. You most likely got suckered into microtransactions at an arcade. Can I just tell you how this happens? So, when you go to the arcade, and usually you go to the arcade, usually it's to spend time in town with your friends. You usually ride on your bike. Well, I'm going to say this is stereotypical 80s, so I'm just going to do stereotypical 80s, early 90s. So your parents didn't want to waste gas money, and you knew that there was an arcade about maybe a mile away from your house, probably a 5-minute bike, probably a 10-15 minute bike drive, and you used to bike down to the arcade, and there was usually, in some places, if you were staying in a hall on a vacation type place, there was a arcade, movie theater, and then there was an arcade, movie theater, and then there was a restaurant where you get fast food, where you get burgers, fries, and a Coca-Cola or something. And you and your mother usually, or if you had a paper route back then, usually brought, like, your mother usually told you to bring like $20-$40, because you didn't know what you were going to be paying for, because you might have spent a couple of hours. You might have even had ice cream. Oh yeah, by the way, there's some ice cream parlor usually about a couple of, I'm going to say maybe a couple of doors down from the fast food open fast food place, where you get fries, fillet of fish, and nachos and everything else. Well, actually, no, that would be a seafood place. That'd be on the docks, on the pier itself. So you go in, and you would and sometimes maybe your dad would go with you, because you didn't want to run to anybody unsavory. Make a day of it with your dad, I guess, something like that. But, or you go down, and there'd be a machine would say, "This accepts $20 bills, $10 bills, $5 bills," and you'd put it into the little money card slot with the little arrow, and out would come a bunch of coins, usually quarters, and usually you get them and you divvy them up. Let's just say you had like 5 friends, you had a $20 bill, you put the $20 bill in, you'd have 5 friends, $20 bill, you'd have 5 friends, and or 2 or 3 friends, you divvy them up. and you guys would bring, or each of you guys would bring $20 bills. As soon as you put that $20 bill in, stop right there. For a bunch of you who say, "Oh, I don't do microtransactions. Microtransactions are stupid. They're just money. They're just money grabs. We don't want to give it to a company or a corporation." Hell no. When you put that $20 bill in that machine and those coins came out, you, my friends, actually did a microtransaction. Most of you in the YouTube comments talking about Gran Turismo microtransactions, paying $20 for 1,000,000 credits. It's the reason why a lot of people said, "Oh, it's too arcadey. It's too arcadey. It's too arcadey. It's not a real driving sim. Yada yada yada." So that's the reason why a lot of people do it. So to know this, when you were a kid and you put the $20 bill, or if your older brother put a $20 bill in that machine, you were subjected to a microtransaction, and you guys didn't even know it until you probably read the comment section, or you probably did some reading on it, of course. And younger kids, well, when you do it at Dave & Buster's, and some people do it at Dave & Buster's now. You go to Dave & Buster's, you pay $100, you can get like 100 credits, and you can play games to your heart's content. And then you can transaction those credits for a prize, and stuff like that. So those microtransactions are for when you're having fun, and you're only going to do that maybe once in a while during the summer. You're going to go down and you're going to spend time with your friends. Then a couple months later, usually when you guys just got out of school and you go to a vacation place, then you go to that vacation place again at the end of the summer, and then you go down to the arcade during the last week of summer before you had to go back to school, or maybe 2 days before you had to go back to school. Back then, if you were vacationing somewhere close to you, if your parents didn't want to spend a lot of money. So, my first run-in with a microtransaction, Flying Horses Carousel. Yeah, Flying Horses Carousel. I was probably 5, and I remember my dad sticking a $20 bill in the machine. I remember Mom getting a cup. Mom getting a drink cup that we probably got for some fast food place. She probably washed it out, probably put all the coins in there, and she probably gave us probably $1 a piece. And then she'd divvy them out after we ran out of the quarters, because the machines were only about a quarter, or only a quarter back then. Kind of fun. And some of the games required 2, and some of the games and I think the racing game will require 4 or something like that, like 4 credits or something like that. Actually, I think it was 25. I think it rose as I got older, but yeah, when I saw those coins come out, what I was witnessing was a microtransaction. So, and for those of you who actually vacationed on the vineyard and actually went to the Flying Horses Carousel, and you saw your parents putting the $20 bill into that machine, your parents were doing it. So guess what? They were doing it. But again, it was for fun. You guys were only going to do it once or twice, depending on how long you stayed. We usually stayed down the vineyard for 2 weeks before we went back to, and then we finished down the Cape, of course, stuff like that. But so microtransactions, we've kind of been conditioned to them a little bit in this culture. So, but that's for fun. That's kind of for silly fun. You have fun. You race. You play. You bonk. You play the whack-a-mole game. You play. I remember playing everything, Pac-Man, and getting tickets, and getting. Well, actually, I don't think did they do tickets. No, I don't think they did tickets. The only prize they ever did at the Flying Horse Carousel was the brass ring. Fast forward till 2023, and we have Dave & Buster's. We have the Charlie Horse has been around for a long time. I remember doing the Charlie Horse. Charlie Horse was another one. I don't think the Charlie Horse is around. Charlie Horse, we could get pizza and stuff like that. Chuck E. Cheese did the same thing. you could pay a certain amount of money for a party to get tokens and stuff like that. These were all little microtransactions when you had fun. But the fun stops when Gran Turismo, which is very divisive amongst a lot of people. I'm a Gran Turismo fan, and even I think this one is a little nasty. Now, in the game, you can pay $20 of your own money to actually get to actually get 2 million credits. You can buy cars and you can tune them up and do all that other stuff. I've probably only maybe done that 10 times since I've gotten the game. Other times I've grinded for credits because I know how to do it. And you just listen to people on YouTube and you can grind for millions of credits, and it only takes you a couple of hours, and you do it every couple of days. And I've been able to buy some of the good cars, except I don't want to. There's some ones I don't want, and thank God I might be stopped playing the game because after reading this DLC. About this DLC, I might not do any more of those microtransactions. I might just get credits by grinding with certain cars and stuff like that. So what Gran Turismo wants to do is they want you to pay $5,000 for a Bulgari watch. It's this Italian watchmaker. It has nothing to do with racing. Has nothing to do with cars. The Gran Turismo Roadster that they're going to put this in actually has a clock face. Look at Bulgari, whatever the hell the watch name is. Bulgari or Bulgari, whatever the hell its name is. I'm botching the name, even though I'm Italian. The Bulgari car actually has a picture of this watch in the center as its speedometer, which is kind of sad. You're paying $5,000 for a car that has things on the watch and blah 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 blah, and it doesn't even look that cool. I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is not a Roadster. If they wanted to do this right, if they wanted people to pay $5,000, you probably should have imitated like a 1950s Italian Roadster or something like that. Not some blocky 1990s futuristic RoboCop style thing that this thing looks like. Nothing like that. But $5,000, Polyphony and Sony and Kaz. It's not only lame, it's cash grab. No one's going to do it, and it's only to unlock a car, and it's going to be behind the biggest paywall of all time. Do I think this is a stretch? Yes, it is. Do I think it's ingenious that people are going to do this? But how many players? And I've read the stories. How many players do you think probably sat there, downloaded the update, the 1.42 update, whatever it is, to after Spec 2 was put out, and probably went to their bank account and probably said, I'm going to pay $5,000 for a watch so I can unlock it in the game. How stupid is that? You can get a car. You can get a used car. Not a decent running one, but maybe one you could fix up. And maybe you can buy Toyota Corollas for like $2,000-$3,000, I guess. So, and actually it might be more than that, but a couple of years ago, $5,000 could buy you a Toyota Corolla from like the late 90s. Not lying. April actually had to buy a new green Corolla. She had a blue one and she had to get a green one after the hood. She had to spray paint the hood and everything, the new one, because it was a little rusted at the top, kind of typical for a mid to late 90s Corolla. But yeah, $5,000. I could only imagine. imagine some parents' reactions when their kid goes up to. Um, Actually, Reddit Gran Turismo, I'm going to read it. Reddit's always good for stuff like this. By the way, I'm just going to show you guys the absolute horror that is this car, by the way, and why I think this is absurd. I'm just going to say wait for the car. Yeah, just wait for the car. Just wait for the car to come out in March, and you can get it in your stuff, and you don't have to pay $5,000 for that RoboCop style abomination of a car that probably is never going to do a damn thing. For those of you who don't know, Vision Gran Turismo cars usually don't get too much attention. They usually are useless, so I don't know why Gran Turismo, it's not like Gran Turismo has taken thousands of dollars out of people's pockets anyway in the last 27 years. So yeah, Kaz and the rest of the Gran Turismo camaraderie. So all right, so except all Bulgari, not Bulgavar, Bulgari sounds like Bugatti. Here's how this was translated. I'm just gonna do this because so every new content since its 2022 release has been free, and today has been free. Gratis zilch. A car pass, season pass, or any form is not available, although there are in-vehicle microtransactions, the credits I was talking to you guys about. And then someone at creator Polyphony Digital went feral and presumably irked at any anti-DLC strategy and put the new Bulgari aluminum venture behind a paywall, and a significant one too, $4,800. You see, access is granted to Gran Turismo 7's latest VGT inductee by first purchasing the Bulgari aluminum Gran Turismo Special Edition watch. You will receive a QR code that delivers the card in game. You could argue that the Bulgari is the most expensive DLC car of all time. Outrageous. This has caused much consternation between players, and on paper, rightly do so. Rubbing salt in the wound, it's still instance in the car collection, and AI rivals and single players use it. Sucks. Your AI opponents get access to this car before you do. Let's not get hyperbolic, however. The watch simply grants early access. The open route sports car will be available in late February. Hasn't come yet. It's mid-February. Yeah, so I kind of am like, I'm not going to read the whole story, but Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of this, and I'm just gonna wait for the car to come out in game like everybody else. I don't have $5,000. I don't know about you guys, but $5,000. Even if I did have well, I do I have more than $5,000 to my name, but for the life of me, I'm not gonna spend $5 grand for a watch just to get one car for free in the game. One car for one car without having to pay credits in the game. And everybody's like, well, you pay 1,000,000 credits in the game for 1,000,000. Well, you can get, here's the oxymoron. You can pay $20 and you can buy two of those. You can buy two of those in the game. $20 to get two of those in the game when you have to pay it when everybody else. I bet you any money that there was a bunch of parents who got their kids to go up, who their parents who had kids go up to them and say, Mom, Dad, there's this car in the new game, and it's part of and you have to buy something that the company wants you to buy. And I can only imagine the mom and dad going, oh, sure. Do you need $20? Do you need $40? Is it a car model or something like that? That's a couple $100, and only for them to show the phone and says, no, Mom, it's a $5,000 watch. Bet you how many parents blew their lids on that one. So, and as a consumer and as somebody who plays the game, I think it's a little much. And I'll side with the parents I'd side with the parents when they say, no, honey, that is too much money for one thing. You can buy a real car for that. You can buy a used car for that much money when you're older. When you get older. And they're right, you could. And they're right, you can. Some of them, or put money towards it. Technically, if you want to buy something cooler. But I just think it's absurd. I think it's stupid. I think Polyphony has finally blown a fuse. Has finally lost a couple of polygons out of their brains. Kind of funny because they style their cars with polygons. I've lost a couple of polygons in there. I've lost a couple of brain cells designing those polygon cars all day long. And I think Kaz has also lost his mind. I think it's staying up too long making these games, to be honest. Do you guys know for a fact he didn't see his family for like he didn't regularly see his family for like 3 years while he was making this game, while he made the first one? You imagine that? Having your dad come home for like 5 seconds and says, oh, no, I bet they have to go back and to make this game that's going to make us, it's going to be well worth it. And it was. But I bet you he's kind of lost brain cells after making like 8 of these games already. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. It's probably made close to 10 because there's a couple spin-offs. But Kaz, Polyphony, and Gran Turismo team, I love you all to death, but never try something this stupid again. And I will be the first to test your DLC car when it comes out in February or March or whenever it does, and I'll just see how stupidly absurd this car is and how much it's not worth $5,000. It wouldn't be worth 20. So, well, actually, you know what? As I said before, you can get 2 of these for $20. You can get 2 of those for $20 or $44 or $21 if you add tax. But yeah, I think it's stupid, and it's probably the reason why. I think the upgrade system, the upgrade microtransaction system, micro conversion system that Forza is going to be doing for its upgrade system is going to be a heck of a lot better. And once I figure out my deal, once I find out my capture card, I'll do more. I'll do more with that. So I'll do more with that. But I will see you guys later, I guess. We'll meet again tomorrow, maybe. So just some food for some thought. I think it's a crazy idea. I think it's stupid. I don't think I've ever spent $4,000 in my life. I don't think I've the last time I spent over $4,000 was when I was paying for college. Yeah, I paid $4,000 for college at Bridgewater State University. Thanks to my little transfer block cut, 33%. But then again, you can find things on the cheap. It just goes to show if you work hard and you do what you do, you can get breaks and you can make things a little easier for yourself. But then again, I digress. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I'll be talking maybe something a little less arduous and a little less boring. So I'm going to talk about actually, I might talk about you know what, tomorrow they're actually racing the Daytona 500, so I will tell you guys I'm going to be I completely forgot that I was going to do a lap of the Daytona track, but it's kind of boring, and I don't have a NASCAR game to do that. Well, actually, I do, but actually, I do. Actually, I do. I have one on. I have one on. I have one on PS5. So I may do a lap of. So before I go to bed tonight, I'm going to do a lap of Daytona. Or tomorrow morning, I'll do a lap of Daytona. I'll have that all set up, and then I'll tell you guys the results of said. I'm not going to do a race. I'm just going to do a free practice session. But I will see you guys later. Peace out, and hope the best man wins at the Daytona 500 tomorrow. So, peace out. I'll see you guys tomorrow night, I think. See you guys then.